welcome back to the Johnson Fitness and Wellness podcast. Today, I have the luxury of being joined by Tim Colston, co-founder at Luxury Wellness Group. Say hello, Tim.
Jay, nice to see you. Nice to see everybody as well. Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. We've been trying to nail you down for a few months now, so I'm glad we finally got some time in the diary to sit down and have a chat.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I've been looking forward to it as well. And yeah, having missed you just last week at PerformX, and then to get in touch again, get the setup has been brilliant.
So, amazing. Right. Let's start off. Obviously, I know who you are. If you don't mind, could you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of how you got into the space that you're in?
Absolutely, Jay. As you can see, I'm pretty old, so I've been around the block and have seen a lot of changes over the years. So I've been in the health and fitness industry for over 30 years now, and boy, has it changed a lot in that period of time. So I sort of cut my teeth, and I'm going to go right back when I left college. Didn't have a clue what I wanted to do with my life, and my mum said, "Oh, you should go and work in a leisure centre, go and sort of do health. You love health and fitness." So I did. I decided to do that. Did literally lifeguarding, loved it, but then thought, let's go traveling. Spent 18 months traveling around the world, and really thought, definitely want to get into health and fitness when I got home. But back then, this is like late 80s. There wasn't exactly the health and fitness sort of clubs there are now, mainly hotels.
Yeah.
So I got working, sort of cut my teeth working in some hotels, the Forte hotels, and that was great because that really gave me a feel of what it's all about. But I quickly realised though that I wasn't really the one to be stuck inside four walls. Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted to be out there, talking to people, looking at other clubs, and just generally, I suppose it's the salesman in me that wants to do that. So not long after that, I got involved with a guy who had the Nautilus distribution. And so I started sort of selling Nautilus, but Nautilus back then for me was, 1 minute I was in the van delivering and installing the equipment. Next thing I was doing was, get the case out, briefcase out, and off selling. So that was the first few years, and also, which we'll come on to, I suppose, in a bit about designing and stuff. My boss used to have own Craftsman lockers. So we were putting locker rooms into golf clubs, health clubs, and that was when the emergence of your health club chains, the David Lloyd started growing, Fitness First started growing. So I was doing Nautilus and Craftsman lockers for many years. Then it goes on. It got to the point anyway. I then got involved with Kaiser, and that really, I suppose, was the big change in my career. Having worked for John for so many years, which was brilliant, taught me an awful lot, understood about the sales and how much work it took, and putting some miles on the clock in the car. So then I was fortunate to be introduced to Dennis Kaiser. Nice. And we started Kaiser UK, because Kaiser had been a distributorship in the UK at the time, and it wasn't really being pushed. I was asked by Dennis Kaiser to run and set up Kaiser UK, which was really interesting actually, because going from literally not a lot to trying to look at where the market was when all the big health club operators were out there, the equipment manufacturers are really starting to put some, people onto the ground. So the Kaiser product being, I don't know if you know it, but uses compressed air rather than or pneumatics, compressed air rather than a traditional weight stack.
Oh wow!
And it's a brilliant product, and it's out there now, and I absolutely got so much time for it. But it was a difficult product to get into your traditional health club, simply because people, where's the weight stack? Where do I put the pin? And it just wasn't. It was a tough one.
I can imagine.
It was a tough one, but we had circuits. So David Lloyd started putting circuits in. Fitness First started putting a few circuits in, but it still wasn't becoming a resistance machine that you'd see as standard in a health club. So it was a tough environment to work in. When, as I said, you had the likes of all the big health club,
Yeah.
manufacturers out there. But spinning then started. Uh, this again show my age, but again, the reason why I say this is because with Kaiser trying to run the business, we had the strength equipment, which was tough, and then the spin bikes in an emerging market.
Yeah.
I remember, I think some of the first, there was Schwinn and ourselves, Kaiser, with the spin bikes. That was kind of it, really. And I remember, you used to put 6 spin bikes in on the gym floor, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then a few months or a few years later, it was like, oh, maybe let's get 12. And it's been quite bold to have a 12 bikes, studio.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, okay, this is all right. I'm really enjoying it. I love the whole spinning sort of world. But then, as we know now, spinning is just, suddenly you get,
it's a different animal now.
yeah. I mean, to see that first studio that had 25 bikes, and then 50 bikes, and then 75 bikes, it was like, well, salesman's dream, because
Yeah, of course.
it was like, just build more bikes into the studio. But absolutely superb times. And Kaiser really did lead the way with the spin bikes, and we had some great instructors working with us, and that also helped get the brand onto this into all the health clubs. So that gave me the opportunity then to talk more about the pneumatics. So I ran that company for 15 years, but about halfway through that period, I remember very clearly the discussion with Dennis Kaiser about how do we get the equipment onto the gym floors. So the equipment we were putting in, the strength equipment, was great for older adults, and that's where we sold it, because it was nice and easy to use. Push a button, it increases resistance, and drop it down. So they're very simple. So kind of the older adults kind of got it, or at least those clubs. But how do you convince the big players to put it in? Well, we decided then to go professional sport.
Okay.
It's a real right. We're going to go into professional sport and see what we can do. I went to one of the first UK strength conditioning conferences up in Loughborough, and although my accent betrays me, I'm born and bred in Cardiff in South Wales.
I would never have guessed.
No, never would have guessed. So I followed Welsh rugby, which is good. We'll move quickly on from that one, where Welsh rugby is today. But back then, luckily at this UK strength conditioning conference, we had our functional trainer out then, or something, one of the machines. And Welsh Rugby was there. The head of strength and conditioning was there. And I saw him. I said, look, come over and have a look at this great machine. I think you're going to love it. Anyway, he walked up to it, pulled the handle, and went, it's a load of ... and just walked off. And literally, it's like a mat being pulled out from underneath me. I couldn't believe it. I was devastated. Fortunately, the next day, because there was an overnight event, too much drink that evening and too much partying, he and his colleague missed the first lecture. So it was like wandering around. Came back to see us, gave me an opportunity to talk more about it, tried it. But that was really the beginning, because he realized actually the ability to be able to create force or power by being able to pull this handle at any speed you liked with any resistance. And so mass times acceleration, force. So it was a really great tool for power and being able to see how much power output you could get at the time. I mean, now there's so much equipment out there that will give you that data, but this is a few years back and there wasn't. So we immediately got in with Welsh Rugby Union, then Northampton Saints, Celtic, and Manchester United, or Blackburn Rovers, and then Manchester United. So I know it's a long story, but the way the career's sort of gone, we ended up starting to supply a lot of football clubs with Kaiser, not just the spin bikes, but the whole array, which got me almost moving away from the health club market and being quite focused on elite sport, because then we did tennis, F1, you name it. I mean, we just did the Olympics, football, rugby, and so on. It got so good, actually. I was getting a bit disillusioned with all the health club market that I decided it was time to move on. Did 15 years running the business, really enjoyed it. But it was one last little story. We went to Manchester City before they were talking about moving to their fabulous facilities as they are now. So we went to their old training ground, and I was sitting there waiting to speak to the doctor to talk about the equipment that's going in there, the sports science stuff. And I was flicking through the file where it says best schools, best accountants, solicitors, and all this
Yeah,
sort of stuff.
yeah.
And I said to the doctor, so what happens when a player wants some equipment? Where do they go? And he goes, oh, Tim, he said, it's a pain because they'll come to me. And he said, with the best will in the world for you, Tim, he said, I'm a doctor. And I've kind of got better things to be doing than finding Swiss balls or rubber bands for the players.
Yeah.
He said it's great though. He said, but anyway, that really resonated. I remembered it. So a year or two later, when I decided to leave Kaiser after all those years and set up on my own, first call was to this guy, and I said, if anyone ever wants a rubber band, a ball, can you send them my way? And he did. And then I went around to all the other football clubs and the guys I knew at those clubs and said the same thing. Look, I'm
Yeah.
starting on my own. Could really, help if anybody wants any equipment, send them my way. And basically, sorry, Jay, this is a long story, but
That's okay.
that was the start. That's the start of my, I suppose, what I've been doing now for the last 15 years, 18 years, which is looking after players, football players, elite sport, doing their homes, their gyms at home. And then somewhere, and I don't know how, I guess it's just through my network, over the years, whilst I'm still doing an awful lot of sport, my whole world has moved into doing gyms for private families and their homes. And that, generally sort of the luxury end, hence the luxury wellness group.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, my career really now is, or my work now is homes, doing the gyms. So that's
Amazing.
kind of the
So with you now doing what you're doing now, we've obviously heard
Yeah.
about what you did to get to now. Tell us a
Yes,
little bit
yeah.
about what Luxury Wellness Group is and kind of who
Yeah.
you look after and what you do.
Well, thanks, Jay. So Luxury Wellness Group we have two companies, Super Yacht Fitness and Super Prime Fitness. Super Prime Fitness is, I suppose, Tim, from what I've been doing for the last 15
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
Or, I suppose, my career. It's what I know. It's houses. It's working with players and so on. One of my clients I went to see 5 years ago. A house, again, very typical sort of for me. Get a call, someone's got a beautiful house. In this case, is in Cobham. I went down to Cobham. I met the executive assistant of the family. They're Swiss. They were a Swiss family, only there a month a year in this
Yeah.
lovely house. They wanted a gym, so very typical. Go in there to measure up and have a chat. I got talking to this very nice lady, and I asked her how she met the family, and it turned out that they own an 80-meter super yacht.
Oh,
And
wow.
one of the things they also wanted was some gym equipment on a super yacht. And I was like, yeah, I can do that, no
Yeah, yeah,
problems. And I remember driving, which is really nice. We had a good chat, sorted the gym out for the house. And I drove away and thought, oh my God, I think I might have perhaps sort of pushed it a bit too far. But the thought of working in the yachting industry just sounded really good. So anyway, I realized very quickly that I needed to find somebody who is well versed in the sort of super yacht industry. So I went out to one of my networks, and I got introduced to Glenn Taylor, who's now my business partner. So this is like 4.5 years ago. So Glenn has been in the super yacht industry for the best part of 20 years, I suppose. Not doing health and fitness, but just being in that world.
that world, yeah.
And yeah, and you can imagine the super yacht industry is very tight. It's kind of even more so than elite sport. Actually, everyone knows everybody. It is a different world. So to have someone like Glenn, who literally, if me, and walking around Performex or FIBO, you see loads of people, and it's your kind of world. When you go to Monaco Yacht Show or to Cannes or to wherever, Palma Yacht Show, Glenn is that same person. Everybody
That
knows
guy
him.
that's saying hello
So,
to everyone.
yeah.
And
So he's got a huge amount of experience. So anyway, we got chatting, and he said, look, Tim, I think there's an opportunity for you, with all the experience you've got in health and fitness, to bring that into the yachting world, because super yachts, I don't know, the gyms. I was really disappointed actually about how poor the gyms were on there.
Yeah, I can
Not only
imagine.
because there's not huge amounts of space on board, although you'll be surprised, and I'll tell you in a moment some of the size of these yachts, but you haven't got much room to play with in there. And this is
Yeah.
kind of, I suppose, part of gym design. What I do at houses, because not all the houses, that we work with are very big, so you've got to
Yeah,
think
of course.
about the best way to use that. So yeah, so that's how Super Yacht Fitness started, and it's taken a couple of years to get ourselves, our name out there. But no, it's really really going well. It's great
Amazing.
fun, and it's hard work, and it's very different as well. But really
Amazing.
good.
So you mentioned obviously design, so
Yes.
we'll go on to that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
suppose my first question for you is kind of so over the last 5 years, how have you seen the concept of a home gym change? So what kind of things have you seen that maybe when you started doing this
Yeah.
specifically, um, on the yachts as well, but when you kind of started to now, how have you seen that change?
Yeah. It's absolutely chalk and cheese. Um, and again, COVID in that
Yep,
period, obviously,
absolutely.
COVID's come in.
To be fair, generally I do say kind of post and pre-COVID because
Yeah.
that is such
Yeah.
COVID changed so much in our world.
Yeah, and I think and it is going to be generalizing, of course. What we're talking about now. I think pre-COVID, people who had gyms at home are the people who really, kind of into their fitness,
Yeah, absolutely.
kind of knew what they want. I'm very happy to have a rack, a bike, or a treadmill, or not even a treadmill. Actually, just go out running. So they were far more simplistic, for gyms, for people who knew what they were doing and just want to get on with it.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, it is it's far more about, I think, what I'm seeing, and certainly as these years have gone on since COVID, the they're becoming far more sort of a wellness ecosystem rather than
Hmm.
just a gym room. So
Hmm.
I've seen initially it was just nicer gyms,
Yeah.
more fluffier, more of a place you want to go and train
Mm.
in, more cardio stuff perhaps than we would have seen before COVID. But what we're seeing now, I mean, when I'm saying now, I'm talking like right now,
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
is this change that's going on again from the gym to being right. It's not just the gym room, it is the house,
Incorporate it into the
it's
house. Yeah.
what everyone's, what the whole family are doing. What does it look like as a wellness sort of house?
Yeah.
And that's the bit I'm really enjoying, because we're seeing, I really am seeing this emerging very quickly. So it's been,
Amazing.
yeah, it's fascinating actually.
Amazing. So what would you say your philosophy is when it comes to designing a fitness or a wellness space inside someone's home?
Well, again, I'd say it's absolutely not an add-on now.
No, agreed.
So
100% agreed.
I'd say it's no longer an add-on. It is, um, I suppose it's the first is, what is that space for?
Hmm.
If we are talking literally about a room with a gym, there's a lot more for me consultation. What's it for? What do you actually want to get from it?
Yeah.
Because as you know, exercise has to be a habit.
100%.
And for me, there's no point putting something in the space that I would like to do. I want to, if it's somebody who's not used to exercising, it's trying to find out what they enjoy doing, and
Hmm.
whether it's more interactive, mirrors, or
Yeah.
whether there's better entertainment going on there. Or this sort of movement into, having whether a personal trainer coming in or even AI. So I think the first thing is, what is the space for? What do they actually want to achieve? Have they done any exercise? And then let's build it up from there. I think space has always been king for me.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, you touch on that with space. So that kind of leads me on to my next question of what are the first three things that you would consider when someone says you get that inquiry in your inbox and it's or someone phones you and says, "Hi Tim, I heard from you from a friend. I really want a new space. I've got a two-car garage, for example. Um, that I want to deck out, what are the first three things that you would want to ask or consider?
First thing I'd ask for is actually what do they want it for?
Yeah.
What do they currently do? Why do you want to have something at home? It might be they're a member of, I don't know, if they're living in London, they might be a member of Third Space or they're David Lloyd, or they've got their own gym down the road. So what is it they actually want that space for? And quite often it's time, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if you can save time, if you're traveling, if you travel a lot for work and you don't want to come back home and then go off to the gym. So it's very much really establishing what is that space for? What do you do as a family or as an individual? What is the important bit? Because again, we'll talk about it again, I'm sure. Hot and cold, cold plunges, saunas, infrared. There's only a finite amount in most houses. Most houses, there's only a finite amount of space, and you can't go the full whole and do absolutely everything. So it's got to be, for me, if there is a space, what you and I would, or most people think, I've got a gym in my house, is what are you going to use that for? What's going to make you go in and do that? Is it putting a treadmill in there? Is it for my personal trainer to come in and I've got space to move? I absolutely, it's got to be. I get really frustrated.
I was wondering what word you were going to come up with then.
Because I'm equipment agnostic, right? So I there's a lot of equipment I like from a lot of companies, but I'm absolutely agnostic. It's very important to me that the right equipment is selected for the gym or for the space or for the individual, whether that's an elite athlete or whoever it might be, or it could be my next door neighbor. It's got to be horses for courses. And it frustrates the heck out of me when I walk in and you see this gym just stacked full of equipment. And it's just, and I sort of, well, I get it and I don't get it. The sales guy's got to make his sales. An equipment factory's got to keep manufacturing.
I agree with it in the sense of for the customer, for the client, it's really difficult because if you deck out a gym and it's just things everywhere, they're not going to get use out of that because it will become a mission for them to want to go and work out in that space. There's nothing worse. I find I don't have a home gym, but I go to my commercial gym 4 times a week, and I find it, there's nothing more infuriating when there's weights lying around on the floor and things don't, do you know what I mean? And you're a little bit too close to your next piece of equipment. Nothing more irritating, and that's in a commercial gym. So when you're in your own home and people have just thrown equipment in just for the sake of throwing equipment in, I can only imagine how unmotivational that is for the client to then want to go in there and actually work out in that space.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely right. Yeah.
Amazing. So on space, for people that are short of it, what are some of the smart design solutions that you use?
So when there's not so much space, I'm thinking of folding racks. There's some really nice folding racks, and I think they'll be probably the number one. If you obviously got the heights and you got the wall you can fix something to, but I think to have a rack of some description would be really important. There's also some great adjustable dumbbells, but literally if there was literally no space, it would be a mat, probably dumbbell, an adjustable dumbbell set, maybe a TRX, wall ladder, wall bars, and that'd be absolutely fine. But again,
there's always a solution.
Absolutely. I am probably, having been what I thought in my 20s and 30s the greatest sales guy in the world, I now think I'm probably the worst because I like space and I don't put enough. I don't put lots of equipment in. I think is kind of where I'm at, because like you said, bodyweight exercises. There's just so much you can do. There really is. In my local gym I go to is the most basic. We do circuits in there, is old kettlebells, dumbbells, mats, and we get the best workout out there. So yeah, and again, there's no point having anything unless you actually have the motivation
100%
to
agree.
use it and to actually exercise and educate yourself and and try and get someone in to help you or to get that support around you. Because exercise is difficult. I mean, it's taken me years, but it's a habit for me. It's like brushing my
Yeah, yeah,
teeth, and
100%.
I tell loads of people that. And you know, like me, and there's we're the very small percentage now, although it is increasing clearly.
100%. Yeah.
There's no doubt about that, which is fantastic. So yeah, for people to spend loads of money, you know, on equipment at home for a bog standard home gym, you don't need to. You
Yeah,
really don't.
absolutely. Okay,
Yeah.
so within your designs, how important is zoning? So, for example, having specific areas for cardio and strength, and then kind of how do you incorporate lighting, ventilation, acoustics? How does all of that kind of factor into home and yacht?
Yeah, well, this I think yeah, you're now sort of touching on, I suppose, you know, where things are moving on to, like we said earlier on, that it's not just the gym, and what sort of the clients are looking for. And I suppose it has moved away, or is, sorry, I suppose the wellness ecosystem from a gym to an ecosystem where it's about sleep, it's
Yep.
about relaxation. It's not just the gym, it's a big part of everything. So when I'm working with interior designers, and we're looking at the space, it's not just that gym space,
Yeah.
it's the whole journey of, you know, when you come home, whether you have a quiet area, whether, like you said about the lighting being so important, access to fresh air, clean water. It really is going right back to the basics,
Hmm.
where so it becomes restorative, um,
Easy
and
for me to say, don't worry.
where exercise is a part of it.
Yeah.
Whether that's doing your Pilates or reformer, whether it's doing a workout, or whether it is just going into a quiet space where the temperature's right, where you've got nice nice lighting and it's just relaxing, and it's
Mm.
just restoring, whether it's, you know, looking at the hot and cold like we said earlier on. So there's so many different facets now, and I think it's really important, even I said even because obviously I work with the richest people in the world, where money is not an
It's not an
object,
object, yeah.
but equally you're still looking at the same process. Now, if you have got a single space, if that single space is better off to be somewhere you can lie quietly and relax and have great music, have sound, and to be able to switch off and sleep or relax, I would honestly say that's as, that's going to be the best space for you.
Yeah.
Why spend money or take up that space with some gym equipment when you're probably not going to use it? Go
Yeah.
and get yourself a nice pair of trainers and go out for a lovely walk. Take your dog, or if you have a dog, or do some.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
really
Different
important. I think
alternatives.
a home gym, and this is what we're talking about. It's like, oh, I need a home gym. Why?
Why? Yeah, yeah. It
Why
goes
do you
back to
want?
that first
Yeah.
thing. Absolutely.
If you've got more space, then great. We can then talk about what's important to you. So it will be the gym, it will be a sauna, it will be, yeah, an ice bath or whatever it happens to be.
Hmm.
But it's really, I suppose, building out subject to your budget and the space you have.
Amazing. So obviously within your designs, and this is going to be really interesting to hear because, as you say, you deal with the ultra rich, and then you deal with people like ourselves who just want a small space and just
Absolutely.
something nice and easy. So to get your opinion on this is going to be fascinating. What do you find is trending at the moment? Do people still want just heavy metal banging, or is it kind of moving towards tech driven, spa like kind of spaces? What do you find that you're regularly being asked for?
Regularly been asked more into that spa
Right.
the luxury feel. So I suppose it follows on what we were saying earlier on, that if it feels good, if it looks good, you're more like, if you're not a big gym goer, you're more likely to then go and use that space because it's something that's welcoming. It's something you feel like you want to go in and use. So I feel it is moving towards that way. The people, as I said, in that initial consultation, though, if we're talking to somebody or a family who are really into their exercise, be it a small gym or big space, then bring on the old style. It's the pushing, the pulling, the high rocks. People want to be
massive now. Absolutely.
And then also trying to see if you've got a bit of a garden space to be able to link something outside, and trying to do more get out as well as being in the gym. So I think it is very different, but ultimately I think the people who enjoy their exercising will go kind of more old school, if you like. And the people, I think, just
want to kind of incorporate into their lifestyle, go more spa-like.
Exactly. And I think that's that, Jay, is exactly what I say about part of that whole consultation. And with Super Prime Fitness, Super Yacht Fitness, it is very much consultation led. It's a consultative approach in what we do, and then it's calling on the experts that we have around us to bring in that area of expertise, because I'm not the expert in every area of our world.
I appreciate that.
But I absolutely will pick the phone up to all the people I know to make sure that we are then delivering the right
equipment and ideas.
Exactly.
Amazing.
So, it's really good. I love it. I love our industry.
So you kind of talk on picking up the phone. So when it comes to collaboration, what does effective collaboration look like to you? So when you need equipment, or when you need to work with an interior designer, or so on and so forth, what does that effective collaboration look like to you?
I can really easily answer this one, because it is, again, another big frustration of mine. It's just, you want a relationship with your supplier or your partner, your another company you're collaborating with, because I'm really finding it I'm surprised. I'm really finding it difficult for people to sell. There's a few people who are brilliant, that keep in touch, that want to help, phone you up or message you to say, look, can we meet up? I've got something really interesting I'd like to share with you. Maybe not just about their equipment, but maybe something is happening in the industry. So I think what's happening now is it's almost, I'm finding that the fitness equipment manufacturers generally, and it's generalization, I'm sorry to those who are kind of waiting for orders rather than getting out there, really getting that relationship close, with their clients. And understanding what they need, so that then they can deliver, and then you have that really close relationship.
Absolutely, 100%
with that supplier. And that's the bit, I don't know whether it's just me being an old duffer again, that all this technology, you did have to get on the road, you did have to go and talk to people and face to face.
Go and knock on the door.
Like we're doing now, it's brilliant. Sorry?
You used to have to go and knock on the door instead of actually just WhatsApping someone. It's a different way of managing that relationship.
I mean, the chat at any show, last week, Perform X, you're wandering around, and that's what it's about, isn't it? It's talking, interacting,
shaking hands, kissing babies, and it's good to just be able to do that again. Absolutely, 100%.
Exactly, and I think this and that so applies. I think for that supplier buyer relationship, whether that's with an interior designer or someone like myself who is looking to work with suppliers. And there are some good, really nice people out there, great people. But I said it just generally, I feel there's not enough of that interaction where you spread. I mean, this is where those events, the networking events, are so important, because that's where
it's that one hub for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah. It's interesting, actually. I went just dropping back actually to my football sort of life. Going back, I remember going to one of the biggest training grounds in the UK, and the head of strength and conditioning, I won't say who it was, but the head of strength and conditioning there was more than happy and used to invite other strength and conditioning coaches from other football clubs, even the ones literally next door to them.
Oh, wow.
after the managers had left,
Yeah.
and have those brainstorms about what's going on, in sports science, and they weren't sharing the data on individual players, but they were
No.
sharing what was going on in the industry for the greater good of everybody. And I
Yeah.
really liked that. I was like, that is so that's not, and they were, and he said there's a couple of people that don't come along, or they keep things to themselves, and they're kind of the ones that seem to be a bit more frightened about what's going on.
Yeah.
The ones that actually want to share, they want to grow the whole industry. And I think that's
It's
what,
a better place to be.
of course it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Final couple of questions. Where do you see home fitness design, and again incorporating into the yacht kind of designs? Where do you see that heading in the next 5 years?
I think it's certainly moving a lot more into our, as we were saying now, where I think it's a continuation of what's happening now, where the gym becomes part of the
The
whole,
home. Yeah.
and and the home or the yacht or whatever it happens to be becomes a whole ecosystem in itself,
Yeah.
and it's all combined together, which is why the earlier we can be with an architect or an interior designer is so much better for the outcome of that house or that
Yeah.
yacht,
Yeah.
because you can really help shape
The space.
that space. And I really do see that's the way it's going. And who knows what technology is going to be like in just even a few years' time, 5 years' time. Some of these yachts that we're working on, they're asking for, we want the latest tech. We're thinking it's got a 5 year build.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you're trying to kind of think ahead,
Yeah.
and
It's really difficult, isn't
and
it?
sort of and then future proof, whether it's a super yacht or future proof when you're doing a nice house with a lovely gym, and you'll have to think about how do you future proof this, because we all know equipment changes,
Yeah. Of
trends
course.
come and go. Even sort of looking at a PowerPoint there, a socket, a cable, are we
Yeah.
really going to have
100%.
that in a few years' time? Probably not. But nevertheless, you still got to kind of think about even the basics of how we can future proof these places.
What you doing? Amazing. Right. Last question. It's a bit of a fun one. We've got through the interview side of things, but this one's a bit of a fun one. It will definitely rattle your brain, because I'm sure if you're anything like me, mate, you do this every time. If you ever play the lottery, you do this every time you play the lottery. But if you won the Euro Millions, you had
Yes,
150 million pounds. What would your dream home gym or wellness space look like?
it would be. This is like left field a bit. It would be literally. Sorry, actually, it's left field. It will be a field with some pigs, trees, chopping. I love nothing more, because I used to have pigs a few years ago.
Oh,
So
wow.
having animals. So in other words, being outdoor. My perfect gym is the outdoor gym. I've
Nice.
been last weekend chopping, chainsawing, chopping wood,
Oh,
you
wow.
name it, picking up, moving things. I love the outdoors. So if I could create, and in fact, so I'm looking out my window there, we've got a courtyard. We just had our house renovated,
Nice.
and we've got a great big courtyard. I want to kind of have this sort of this gym that is incorporated into my outside world. And obviously, when the poor weather we get down in South Wales here, I would like to have a nice simple gym. So to go back to actually the indoor gym, literally, like I said, it would be nothing more than half rack, mat, something to lift, something to
Some
pull,
adjustable
something to
dumbbells, and
push,
off you go.
a bag in the corner I can go and whack it occasionally. But really, get me outside. I love it. I'm an outdoors person. I love hiking. And if I can chop things, dig things, move things functionally, that's
Oh,
that's my
amazing.
ideal
Do
gym.
you know what? That is one of my favorite answers to that. I ask everyone that question. That's one of my favorite answers, because that isn't just the case of, do you know what, I'd like to go and live up in the mountains in Switzerland. And that was just, do you know what, I'm happy with where I am. I would have it outdoors because I like being outdoors. That
Yep.
that was a really wholesome, nice answer. Thanks for that, Tim. That was really
Ah,
nice.
that's great.
Right. That's it. Tim,
Jay,
thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed that conversation.
that's
I'll leave your
brilliant.
links in the description below, so if anyone wants to find you, they can. Again, thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad we finally managed to sit down and have this
Likewise
conversation.
as well,
It
Jay.
was more than worth it.
Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Amazing. Speak to you soon. Cheers.
Thanks so much, Jay.